Now we have the presentation of Project Gaia by Teresa Caminero and David Köpfer. David has been an IT innovator expert at the European Central Bank since the year 2018. He has a track record of exploring and prototyping technologies in the central banking environment, and he has also worked as consultant for data science projects across industries. His educational background is in biophysics, where he holds a PhD. And Teresa has been a researcher and senior economist in the Financial Innovation Division at Banco de España since the year 2018. She has carried out research in new financial products resulting from technological innovations and trends in the financial system, and also research projects on the application of natural language processing techniques in the evaluation of sustainability information disclosures. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Sonia. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today to talk about Project Gaia and how we intend to make the life of a climate analyst a little bit easier. The roots of this project lie here at the Bank of Spain in the Financial Innovation Division. And the project now has been taken up to the Business Innovation Hub of the Eurosystem. The Business Innovation Hub was established with the objective of promoting innovation in the global financial system. But one of its key areas of focus is green finance. Yes, green finance. Under this umbrella, Project Gaia was joined by colleagues from the Deutsche Bundesbank and the ECB. In the presentation, we'll explain the current situation regarding sustainability information, and then it will be your turn with a short quiz. We want to put you in the shoes on a financial analyst. This will help you to solve how Project Gaia can help to solve the current information gaps. And finally, David will give you an idea about the technical problems that we need to solve. Climate change is one of the most pressing issues facing society today. Its impacts are already affecting people everywhere across the world. Rising temperatures, the more frequent and severe weather events, and melting ice caps are just few examples. As a result, we need to acknowledge that climate change will also affect the financial system. There are two main channels. First, we have two main channels. First, through the physical risks arising for damage to property, infrastructure, and land. And the second channels are transition risks. These result from change in climate policy, technology, and the general adjustments to a lower carbon economy. For example, the effects on the economy of the stranded assets. And we have already policy responsibilities. To fulfill the mandate of guaranteeing financial stability, central banks and financial regulators need to have reliable data. Yes, reliable data. So there's no doubt that climate data is needed to measure climate risks in the financial system. Unfortunately, there is a lack of reporting on climate-related data, which does not fulfill the needs of central banks and financial regulators. One of the main problems is the lack of standardization. Different organizations use different methods to collect, calculate, and present data. And this makes it difficult to trace the source of the data, making it difficult to compare and analyze aggregate trends over time. For this reason, third-party providers try to solve this gap. They offer solutions that provide different climate data, but of course you need to pay for the licenses. Another problem is the fact that documents are often used as marketing tools. As a result, they often provide just generic information or engage in greenwashing. Let me demonstrate this last aspect with this specific graph. This scatter plot examines how the ESG scores of different commercial vendors correlate with each other. You can see that the variance is really huge. A firm might get an A+ in one dataset and a C- in another one. So which one is correct, A or B? And how is this risk score calculated? You can immediately see that we need standards, but also you can see what we need is transparency. Yes, transparency in how the standards are calculated. Why do you get such discrepancies in the scores? On balance, these gaps, the lack of transparency in how the data is assembled, and the limits in how data can be shared make it difficult to analyze the overall impact of climate data on financial stability, let alone to make concrete policy decisions. So you can see from the above that the data gaps are enormous. Next, let's move beyond this abstract discussion of problems to the practical issues that analysts are facing today, which will also show you what precisely we want to improve with the help of technology in Project Gaia. To show you what the current situation means for climate risk analysis, we want to invite you to walk a mile, or at least a couple of meters in the source with an interactive quiz. So now it's the time. Please take your phones.
Fine, you have an excuse to actually use them. Oh, wait. You want me to do it?
Yeah, you continue.
So, wait, too fast. So take out your phones and scan the code. So the idea is to make you climate analyst for, let's say, 3 minutes or so. You know, all these ideas are very abstract. So we want to give you the idea of what a financial analyst does. This is already pretty narrowed down, right? We already did a lot of the homework that a financial analyst would need to do because we already downloaded the appropriate PDF. We already found the right page. Usually there are like 100 pages in such a document. And now we would invite you to tag along. Bear in mind, if you put your name in there, it will be displayed up here. So if you want to, you know, if you're in the witness protection program or something, choose another name. Exactly. So everyone in there, I think we already have quite a few people in there, right?
24 people, 25. Come on, let's be shy.
So let's get started. So the quiz has 3 questions, and they're typical and they're easy questions that a financial analyst might find, you know, just in a daily work. Okay, then.
Okay, are you ready? So let's start.
And the faster you answer, the more points you get. So read quickly. You want to find the Jeopardy music, but we didn't. 10 seconds. Oh, well, very good, very good. Nicely done. And let's see how quick you were. Go back. Leaderboard. Next one. Go to the next. Oh, that was too fast.
Sorry.
So the leaderboard. And of those who got it correctly, Mr. Metal was the fastest. But it's only the first question of 3. So let's go to. So here we were asking how much carbon dioxide was emitted, and as you can see, we even truncated the table for you. In reality, it's even bigger. And you see there's a lot of numbers in there, right? And most of you found the right number. Down here, total gross CO2 emissions, right? We asked for carbon dioxide. Here it says CO2, so see, it wasn't a waste to do your chemistry homework. That is the right answer. So, second round, let's go to the next one. So here we're asking what the standard was used for. What standard was used for the inventory reports? Oh, it's not working? Okay. Okay. That's odd. It should be. How can you trust us with technology if we can't even make it? Well, there's probably a technical solution to that, but let's show you the... Yeah.
Let's try to start again. Or?
Yeah. We rehearse that so often. That's so mean. Okay. No, I think. Yeah. Sorry. Then we'll show you the solution, and we'll do the deciding factor on the third question. So here the standard reporting was asked, and that was a tricky one because it's actually an abbreviation. The ABNT NBR ISO something, where the NBR stands for the National Brazil. My Portuguese is a bit rusty, but that was the standard. So to show you that you also need a lot of background knowledge to answer those questions, right? It's not a straightforward of, which of the three answers matches. Usually the climate analysts don't have three answers at stock. They need to understand what's behind it, what are the standards. They might need to Google things. That is also one of the problems. So let's fingers crossed that we can make the third one. So, very sorry for that. We rehearsed all night yesterday. So go to the next one. Go to the next one. And yes, and don't go there. Just use the arrow key. So question 3. Let's try it. Okay, I'm very sorry. We really rehearsed this, but okay. Yeah. Oh. Well, the last question we had planned was how did the amount of business travel change between 2016 and 2018? And there we had prepared a little bar graph up there. And as you can see, you really need to look at the numbers because I don't know how exactly your eye level is, but it actually did increase between 2016 and 2018. And you see, so not all of the information is in text form in those documents, right? So you need to look around, you need to find, and some of the answers don't have like a number associated in the text. Some things you need to derive from the text. You need to do your own math because depending on your question, it's not all presented there. So what did we learn from this great test? And congratulations to the winner. I'm sorry that it didn't work, but well, how can you trust us building technology after this one, right? But the takeaway message nonetheless should be it's quite a bit of time effort, right? I mean, we've abstracted quite a bit of it, of finding the right PDF, of looking into it, finding the right page, and then finding the right information. Then, and I think Jose can sing a song about that, they're all different formats, right? They're marketing tools at the moment. So everyone makes them very nice, very glossy, but they change. They change even year after year, right? Oftentimes what we find is the context is explained in footnotes, right? It will say carbon emissions are X tons of CO2 with a little asterisk, and the asterisk on the bottom says, oh, we were only able to account for 50%, the other ones we don't really know. So that is also something that you need, right? And that you need to be aware of to look. And yeah, even the structure changes across years, right? The company might get a new corporate identity, switch from blue to red, and everything will look extremely different the next year. So even as an analyst, you need to look again, how does it look like? And of course, what we now want to do, which is quite challenging, is the vision for Gaia. How can we automate that to some extent, right? So the vision would be, how can we create a platform for analysts to alleviate them of those pain points, of quickly finding results, of reducing the manual effort, and of really becoming a platform, a reference for climate-related data, where even the companies would like to upload their data, ideally, right? Not hiding things. So this would be the vision, building a platform where climate analysts save a lot of time and like to come. Well, of course, this requires some engineering, some engine room, right? And this is also why I'm in the project. I have honestly not a lot of clue about reporting and all these things, but I come from the technology side. And I mean, as Jose also had the same problem, right? We start out with PDFs and we want to have structured output. We want to answer the typical questions, right? Where do I find this number? And there are two big nuts to crack in this case. So on the one side, there's PDF. And we've already heard what kind of a pain point that is, and I absolutely agree. We're the governing bodies. Why don't we tell them, look, no PDFs? But as of now, that's not the case, and especially these ES3 reportings, as of now, they are voluntary, right? So there we can't force them. There are plans now to systematize it, and that's great work. But the standard problem of PDF stands in so many projects. And as one engineer once told me, the best way of parsing a PDF is going back in time and kicking the people who invented the format. Because PDF is really, really not so nice. And of course, that's only the first part. But in the advent of large language model, of sequence-to-sequence learners, we see more and better models of actually looking into PDFs, going beyond OCR, machine learning on the page, which is now starting, and you see it popping up in places. There's still some ways to go, but this is a problem that seems solvable, at least in the future. The next part, after having recognized all the data or all the text in a PDF, can you go back still, is the extraction of it. And that would be natural language processing. How do I get stuff out? Even if there's a number on the page, if there's a little star on it and on the bottom it says, it's only 50%, well, that's really hard for a computer to do, right? The computer is usually trained on, as Jose did, right? Finding certain words in the text, maybe with a regular expression, finding a certain expression in it. But natural language is a difficult problem, and let me illustrate. So this is a random sentence we found, right? In 2021, 69% of employees were included under the scope of the EMS. I have no clue what that means, but it's one of the sentences you randomly find in these documents, right? And if I were to tell you that and told you, tell that to your partner at home, or wherever he or she might be, you would probably memorize the message. What did I say? What is it? I mean, assuming you knew what EMS is, right? And you would tell the same information to that person differently. Rarely you would use exactly the same words as I did, although it contains the same information. So the big problem with PDF parsing as well as natural language processing is that humans are really good at it, right? In our brain, we have this notion of understanding the meaning of a sentence, despite it being formulated in different ways, right? These are just 4 examples how you could say the same information, right? Focusing on other things, there are different meanings in it. But for a computer that usually works on, very clear and precise rules, this is a difficult task to distill that out. Well, when we started this project, or I was recruited for this project from the ECB, and people told me that, and that was, I don't know, say 6 months ago, in the back of my head I thought, oh yeah, BIS, that sounds nice, but getting information out of PDFs, that's gonna be tough. I mean, I've tried that, I've seen that, and I mean, we know there are many projects that try that. This is very difficult to do. Well, then came the advent of large language models. I mean, they were always there. There was Climate Bird before us, right? A large language model that was specifically trained on climate data, but it didn't work really well. So, I mean, it was better than before, but it didn't really work well. But then came ChatGPT, which I'm absolutely sure everyone has seen, everyone knows. I mean, it's the fastest adopted technology ever, faster than the wheel and fire. And of course, that is a game changer. I mean, we tried it here. Question 1, you've all tried it. We gave it the information. We had to pass the table into something machine readable in the text, but yeah, it did. Here we actually asked it for 2018, so, but it actually came up with the right answer, and incredibly so, right? I mean, you've seen the table, you've seen how convoluted that is, even with the context. To the next. Well, there was actually one slide in between, but we've also tried that on the third question we gave you. they had kind of failed. So it started rambling about, there was the business travel one. Yeah, business travel got up and down, and then it gave us a number from 2012. It did not really work. So there's still a lot to be learned, a lot to be experimented, also with the large language models. But honestly, I think they hold a lot of potential, and they make me confident that this problem can actually be solved in the near future. So what do we have planned? At the moment, it's basically concept. So we are basing our work on the shoulders of giants. It was prototyped at the Bank of Spain. That was a Python-based prototype built by Angeli Van and Teresa. So it's her brainchild. When we then from the BIS took it over. So the first thing we want to do is build an enterprise-grade platform. So with real databases, with real ingestion pipelines, so put this thing on solid feet. And this is what we're currently doing. We have an RFQ out. We are procuring, we want to procure a solution. On top of this thing, on top of a pipeline that at least reads PDF, we want to start experimenting as the BIS data scientists. How do we do that? How do we get the information out of it? And of course, this will be large language models. We'll also try semantic searches. That's the core idea. And of course, this thing stands and falls with a good front end. No one is going to use that if they first have to do 3 semesters of Python programming before they can use it. So what we want to do is a really nice front end for people to use it. And of course, then the idea would be to give people in central banks and whoever wants it actually access to that tool. That's the vision for Gaia. So thank you very much for your attention. I hope I could convince you that this might be a worthwhile endeavor. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So let's open the floor for some comments or questions.
Thank you. So, David, you referred earlier to the lack of standardization or lack of a standardized reporting in this case. Do you think that once this is done, it would help in standardizing the output, at least an extract or a summary of the information would be presented in a standardized form? Mm-hmm. Not necessarily the actual report, but the output?
Well, I think that there's also legislative push towards standardization, right? So I'm pretty sure that over time, since this is a very big topic, there will be more and more standardization, whether it comes from governing bodies that push standardization or whether it comes from people having easy access to seeing what others do, right? And then basically some form of standard crystallizes out because, I don't know, the consultancy companies say, look, we've done that here. That might be also something for you. That would be my guess. But maybe Teresa has a good way on that because I'm,
Probably it will happen maybe at the same, this push for standardization will happen at the same time around, when we get rid of PDF reporting.
Let's hope not. You want to weigh in?
To get reliable data from the PDF, and that's a main problem that we have to solve, and that's what we're trying to do. But it's very necessary to have standards and to have a regular information in order to get an automatic way to extract that information.
I have a different question. Why go to PDFs? Many things can be directly measured. You measure light and carbon emission and methane emission with satellite pictures. And why go to the border of secondary measurement? Meaning this is a European project, and maybe you could identify 5 to 10 things that are really important to measure and measure them directly.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good point, right? I mean, I've seen great things of, for example, satellite spectroscopy, right? That look directly in companies how much CO2 comes out of their smoking stacks, right?
Yeah. Meaning I mentioned this before, we have a project with one of our PhD students, and she's using data from a commercial company with satellite methane measurements, and they also doing CO2. Meaning you can pick that up directly. And as you said, now with triangulation of satellites, now that the information is not classified anymore, you can do it day and night. You don't need with cloud, etc. So many of these measures are eco measures that can be made directly. So I think that's where would be really interesting.
I'm absolutely with you, and I think this is, I mean, in the end, as we said, right, these are corporate reports, these are marketing tools, right? I think it's also important within the organizations, right, that they start measuring themselves and that they are held accountable. I mean, whatever, for example, if you have a fleet of people driving around their cars, right? I mean, if you have a manufacturing smokestack kind of like industry, there you can look at the CO2 emissions by doing spectroscopy. But if you have a company, a logistics company, right, tracking every one of their vehicles, that's probably hard to do from a satellite, right? I mean, I'm sure there's also means of, I don't know, like, but yes, I'm absolutely with you. I think it needs to be a combination of both. I think this kind of reporting also holds the people accountable and also forces them within their company to look at what do we actually do, where do we emit a lot, and especially like with carbon pricing, these kinds of methods, right? To also look how this can be steered. This would be my physicist takes on it.
The direct taxing is the way to make people worry about what they are doing.
From my limited understanding of economics, yes, that seems like a very, very good tool.
Let me add something. It's a very good point, and there is a specific work group in the business innovation. There is a specific group researching in green finance, and they are taking all the things in consideration. The thing is, here in Project Gaia, we're trying to analyze the information that the public information, the disclosure of public disclosure information that companies have. But the other line of work is to know the credibility of the data. So satellites and other technological things are a good complement. But in one way, the technology can be very useful, but in another way, it's very necessary to have transparency in information and to have standards and all kind of this. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just the final question, okay?
Thank you for the presentation. It was very interesting. I wanted to ask, so the idea of the project is to build a tool so that all central banks can use it? And if so, what deadlines do you have in mind? Because in Banco de España, we're working on a similar project, and just to know whether it makes sense to wait.
Quite honestly, yes. I think everyone is trying to extract information from PDFs, as we've heard. So the idea is at the BIS, we are only allowed to do POCs, right? So we can't run anything productive. So once we have this, it will be there, and we will say, look, this kind of works. Anyone wants to run this, right? From the central banks. But of course, I mean, we try to make this thing open with open technologies. We want to own the code, and of course, the idea would be making this available to the central banks. Even as my understanding is also, if you just want to use it to look at the code, that should be possible, right? And also sharing information also throughout the process. So if you're interested, come talk to us, right? We work for the central banks. Let's exchange views here.
Okay. And regarding the deadlines, so do you have some idea of when this can be?
So I'm assigned for 2 years, but I mean, we want to have something within, I think, the first prototype we want to have in 9 months. This is the idea currently for at least for the base thing.
Okay. And the idea is to make it generic so that people can use it for searching any information, I imagine, or?
Well, no, but I think we will. The idea is to make it modular enough that if you wanted to, you could.
Okay.
That's my technical understanding here.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So now we are going to make the change in the table. Thank you for your presentation.